Musgrave is a food business. It's an international food business which we operate in Ireland, the UK and Spain. In the island of Ireland, we're going to talk about Musgrave Retail Partners, which is Ireland's largest grocery distribution network. Within Musgrave, we support local entrepreneurs to provide local businesses the opportunity to support our communities, which is in the form of supermarkets and the SuperValu and central supply chain. So we support those through supply chain, sales and marketing expertise, which makes us the number one player in the market in Ireland at the moment. Our turnover is 4 billion on a group level in sales. Here in the island of Ireland, we have just close to 690 stores. SuperValu is the only large supermarket format with a store in every county, and Centra have a store in every local community in the country. So our spread is quite wide, from the tip of Kerry right up to North Donegal, so quite a wide spread of stores. So a retail distribution centre is, as it sounds, it's a distribution centre which is really a warehouse, which allows us to make a very complex area, which is getting a large range of products to a large number of stores in a simple and efficient manner. So it manages the inbound supply from the food producers in the main, and allows us to allocate those efficiently to the outbound stores. There's a number of factors that are important here, which is predominantly a commercial decision, both for the business that is being supplied into and the business that is going to supply. So the local food producer will ask himself a number of questions, such as the reach of stores in which he wants to distribute his products. So it'll be a different solution for someone who wants to stay within the Dublin area versus someone who might want to go to the broader Leinster area versus distributing to the island of Ireland. So that's one key decision. I suppose the second key decision is the maturity level within their business to be ready to centrally distribute. So that requires a level of development around their systems, and also an understanding to have the capacity to be able to grow as their business grows, as it goes through a central distribution model. And of course, most importantly, is that their category is in a position that they understand their customer base, understand how to categorize the product in store, and have built a relationship and an understanding of where their sales are at a local level. Because as it gets into a central distribution model, the system drives a lot of that, but the foundation needs to be in place first, which is important for the local producer. So a local producer, one of the myths that's often taught there at the moment is that once you get central distribution, you're made, and in terms of the supply chain and systems that they do the work for you. And it's actually the opposite. So the producer needs to work harder than ever to make sure that their product is landing in store and getting in sight of the consumer and is available on the shelf. So that's something that the local producer really needs to get an understanding of, because once it gets into central distribution, the challenges become quite tough, as do the opportunities become quite as big as well. So there's a huge opportunity, but there's some challenges as well they need to be aware of. So the foundation they need to have in place is have systems so that they can receive orders, which stores send to us within Musgrave that we then pass on to the supplier. So their systems need to be at a level to accept those orders. And that at a more developed level is EDI, which is electronic data interchange that accepts the orders from us. But we also are able to send orders out to suppliers by fax and by email as well. So there's a number of elements, some of which from an IT perspective are more demanding than others, and it depends on the scale and the maturity of the food producer. So it's important to have the systems to be able to do that. It's also important to be able to respond to demand. So some products are very driven by seasonal activity, or when the sun shines, sales go high. So if you're centrally listed and centrally distributed, that means each of our 700 stores will ask for that product. And what's really important is that you're able to deliver, and availability is really important. So if you were supplying 10 cases today and tomorrow our retailers are asking for 1,000 cases, being able to be in a place to deliver on that and understand what your capacity constraints are important. Your relationship with us in Musgrave is really important too. So knowing the right people to talk to support you is important, and you really need to work on that, because it can be really helpful in using your expertise in what is a complex area in both supply chain in particular, IT, and also in sales as well, of making sure that works for the producer, it works for Musgrave, and it works for the retailer, and most importantly for the consumer. what's really important is that when someone walks into a store, so when you and I go and do our grocery shopping, is that the product we want is available on the shelf, always. So to talk about a product from the time it arrives to its dispatch, we're going to start looking at what happens in store first. So the first point of the timeline of the life cycle of a product of getting it to the shelf is a store places an order with us in Musgrave. And I'm going to talk through example timelines here to make sense of this, just to bring it to life. So if a store places an order by 12 o'clock on a Monday morning, we receive that order 2 hours later here in Musgrave. We will very quickly turn that and so that the food producer has it within 3 hours of that store placing that first order. So the food producer now knows how much product they need to make for delivery into our central distribution centre the next day. That gives the food producer, normally for a chilled product, it's longer for a ambient and frozen product because of the shelf life, but for a chilled product about 24 hours to make that product. And of course a routine builds up in this where the producer will have a good idea of what to expect in that order quantities, so that product then starts to be made on that Monday evening, normally within the food producer. Our warehouse at 6 a.m. the next morning is ready to start receiving that product. So sometime between 6 a.m. on Tuesday and 8 p.m. on Tuesday night, that product will be received into the warehouse. And either through us in Musgrave collecting that product through backhaul, which is an efficient way of taking extra kilometres out of the supply chain for everybody. So we will normally collect it from the food producer, or the food producer will deliver it in to the central distribution warehouse on Tuesday, sometime between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. At that stage, as you can see, we will pick that product. So the pallet will be received in. We'll receive it onto our system. The supplier will get paid for the product. And our system then will understand what store orders had placed their orders within our system the day before and allocate that product or pick those cases to the different stores and put them on roll cages or combis to be ready for delivery to that store. So that picking process, receiving process is quite straightforward, it's quite system driven, and it's really important that it's accurate. So that ensures that the product is now within our warehouse, it's ready to be dispatched to the store. And at some stage during that Tuesday night after 8 p.m, we will load that product onto a truck along with the rest of the store order that SuperValu or Centra has ordered and delivered. And the delivery is normally made before 6 a.m. on the Wednesday morning. So the stores place their order on Monday at midday. That product will come through our warehouse 24 hours later. And about 12 hours after that again, it'll be arriving at the back door of a store and ready to be merchandised on the shelf. So some of the practical considerations are that we are trying to make a complex area simple. So in order for us to do that, we have coming into our distribution centres over 100 deliveries or 100 suppliers each day. So to manage that, obviously we can't have everyone arriving at one time. So we have a goods in schedule to ensure if somebody is booking in at a time of 6 o'clock plus or minus 30 minutes normally, that works to avoid a backlog just from a natural traffic management point of view within the depot. So there's a natural flow of products and traffic around the site. And that normally builds up in a good routine that works for the food producer. And there's a bit of flexibility in terms of changing that. But to make the distribution centre work and to make the traffic flow work, it's important that we have a goods in schedule. The other things that are important to driving efficiency of scale is we use our loading bays to unload the product, and from a temperature and also have control of products that's our warehouses are sealed. So a truck backing up onto the bay and the product being unloaded by our staff here at Musgrave is something that works really well. So we're a food company. I'm really proud of what we do to achieve that. So keeping the product quality from a temperature, from a damages point of view, and also from an accuracy point of view are our key measures of success once the product arrives into our gate. So we achieve that through our warehouses, which you will see in our video clip in understanding how they work practically. Our monitoring of temperatures right through the supply chain is a key control point, and we use HACCP controls to ensure that we've good plans that's maintained right the way end to end. So those are the practical things to consider when delivering in each day to our distribution centre. From our ambient point of view, it's one product per pallet, because in our ambient network, our products are put away in racking and in order for our systems to work within that. And because it's normally it's a stock holding environment, so we will hold on average 9 days worth of stock at any time of all products. So the delivery's in maybe up once a week or maybe once per 2 weeks, and we'll hold about 9 days worth of stock. So it's one product per pallet, which is efficient for the producer, and for us at Musgrave as well. From a chill, because of the shelf life, we can take multiple products per pallet. It's not put away into a racking system, which means we can work with that supplier to have a level of flexibility to make sure that the number of products and number of cases on a pallet are at an efficient level to work for everybody in the chain. So the other thing that's important when considering when sending product through a supply chain, it obviously does move through a number of touch points. And as a food producer, it's important to be aware and understand what happens within a warehouse. So we would recommend that you come in and see our warehouses. The product will be delivered and sometimes collected from distances away from the warehouse. So it's going to have to travel into the warehouse. It's going to be unloaded and it's going to be handled twice more before it reaches the retailer. So the packaging should be fit for purpose and expect that to happen. And it's important to understand that we don't need to build a metal case around it. However, we do need to make sure it's stable, it's protected, and that the pallet is presented and built in such a manner to expect a number of other touch points to ensure when the product gets to our retailers, it's in good condition and saleable and free from damage. And from a chill point of view as well, we've also got product segregation to keep in mind. So in other words, we've got cooked and raw products, and it's important that from a food safety point of view that we keep those separate. Most of our products is delivered into our distribution centres on pallets. There is a possibility of using roll cages as well where it's efficient for smaller quantities, and we'd work with a food producer or supplier at a stage where that was appropriate. We deliver most of our product to our retailers on roll cages or combis. These are really, as you'll see around the countries or in stores, the purpose of which is the convenience for moving those roll cages around our warehouses and also around the store as well. So when we make deliveries to our stores can take these roll cages and merchandise the products quickly, efficiently, and at a manner that creates a flow within store. Our delivery frequency out to store varies depending on the shelf life, rate of sale and type of product as well. So some products we deliver to stores every day, and some products we deliver to stores 2 to 3 days per week. The chilled products with shorter shelf life obviously require much higher frequency of delivery, as do the higher rate of sale of product. So the shelf life in particular and the rate of sale of a product is likely to be of a lower frequency of delivery. So to give you some examples of what that looks like, some of our minerals, which can sell a couple of thousand cases per week, we would deliver 4 times a week into every store. So that means our inbound deliveries from our producers of minerals will deliver in about the same frequency. So that's one example to bring it to life. The lead time from suppliers is, as I had the example earlier, we will receive orders each day. So our chill operation operates 6 days a week, which means stores have the opportunity to order every product 6 days a week. So food producers need to produce and accept an order from Musgrave 6 days a week. So we deliver into store every day except a Sunday at the moment, where we do deliver some products to some stores. But in the main, 6 days a week, you will receive an order from Musgrave for chill product on day 1. So you receive it today to deliver into our distribution centre on day 2, which is tomorrow. Which gives about a 24-hour lead time from receiving the order to having to deliver to or have it collected by Musgrave to go to the distribution centre. The ambient lead time varies depending on the product, and on ambient we hold stock. So you will receive an order on today, and it varies depending on rate of sale of when that's delivered into Musgrave. And because we normally hold about 9 days stock, depending on where the product is coming from, the rate of sale and the shelf life, it will normally be delivered about once a week or once every 2 weeks into Musgrave. And we will deliver out that to store at a higher frequency because we hold stock on our ambient product. And our frozen stock holding and distribution to stores is similar to that of our ambient. So you deliver into it about once a week.